Good morning, everyone. Yeah, hope you've had a good start to your week. Let's take a look here at some markets this morning. We're going to just kind of roll through the presentation just a little bit here. So, of course, we're going to talk about risk as always. Remember, only trade with risk capital, not money that's, going to put food on your table or take food from your table. Or don't trade with the rent money or mortgage or what, just use good old common horse sense, as we like to say out here in Oregon. All right, so remember, you can lose regardless of, Nadex provides some fantastic tools to use, but you still can suffer losses. All right, that's me, been at this for a long time. Some days it feels like longer than others, but still plugging away and loving it. All right, so we're going to take a look here at the news for the week. So let me move over to that page. Give me just a second to load that up here, and I will be right back with that. We had some volatility. We have the last couple of days, the last couple of trading sessions. So with President Trump announcing the continuation of the tariff wars, that really set the markets off last week. That was there were some brutal moves. There was some good moves if you're on the right side of it, and bad moves if you're on margin call, like if you're trading futures or stocks. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about the news for the rest of the week here. There you go. You can see my Forex factory calendar. Now, again, as I've mentioned, every week we do this. Forex Factory or my FX book economic calendar is another great one as well. But don't have any ties to this website, just like the way they lay this out. So for the rest of this week, we have some big news out of Australia and New Zealand. You can see right through here. That's today, excuse me. So this is going to move. This won't affect necessarily anything as far as New Zealand dollar, because we can't trade that on Nadex, but it will affect some of the Aussie dollar. So be aware that anything associated with the Aussie dollar will rock and roll based on that those big events that are coming out here. And let's see here on Wednesday, it looks like we're blank on Wednesday. Thursday, a little bit more out of Australia as well, as you can see here. Friday, Great Britain and Canada. So the reason I bring this up is because these events, these high impact events, can move the markets, whip them around. So if you are in a trade ahead of that, just remember, you could see that volatility. That can be a double-edged sword. All right, so again, these are the two places. Forex Factory, we were just on their site, and MyFX Book is the other site. So let's take a look at some markets here. I have three markets I want to take a look at here this morning. Let's just get to it. Everybody awake this morning? Everybody ready to do this? I know it's August. I know it's the summer doldrums, but not in the markets this year. We got some rocking and rolling. Well, at least one of you is awake. Oh, there's another one. All right. Let's get the charts loaded up here. I'm going to start here this morning actually with the Nasdaq, because it's up 1.15% this morning, and we're going to take a look here at what's happening here. So we had some big movement down here. We actually have the last couple of sessions. Let's load up the daily chart first, and we'll work our way down. Oh, so you're wide awake, Ronald. Yeah, Ronald says this afternoon. All right, so this is a daily chart, and actually let me change the color of this here. What I want you to notice with this is the market, as the market was making new highs here. This is again the Nasdaq September E-mini Nasdaq 100. I'll spit it out. The US Tech 100 on Nadex. But look at this, from this high up to this high. Look how the market continued to put in higher highs. But along the way, my momentum indicator is saying, not so fast there, mister. lost momentum on the gradual incline. So it was, and then we also had here, so I hope everyone sees that. And then if we look from this point, from here to here, you can still see it from high to higher, high in price, high to lower, high in momentum. And my cycle study also said the same thing. And if we can line this up here, I'm trying my best to be accurate. Right about there was a nice shorting opportunity against resistance here of a couple of days with all of this flip in momentum. Everybody see that? That is a massive move from roughly, I'm just going to round it off here. So I'm going to ballpark it. We'll say roughly 8,000 down yesterday to 7,200. Again, I just rounded that off, give or take a, whatever. It's important that you understand this concept, the flip in momentum, a change in momentum in the market, and be able to recognize it, because longer term you can find this. Well, I obviously have my own indicators, but this stuff happens again and again, and it doesn't matter the asset class or the time frame. So we had this massive move, and now look what's happened here, right here. We came right to the 200 period moving average, right there, that purple line, it looks like almost to the tick there. Bounced off it, now is working on a hammer candle, which is a reversal candle. Reversal candle against support in this case. Now you can see the market has come back up. This is the support zone I had marked off here. The market touched that yesterday. Now let's do it like this. So the market touched it yesterday, came right to the edge of it, and then overnight here we did this and bounced and boom. The cycle study is trying to bottom out here. A lot of energy to the downside, but with my indicator, you can see it's fading. It's like becoming a lighter red. So it's telling me that it's losing momentum at this point. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to flip and suddenly rally, hundreds of points from here. While it could, that's not the way I use it. If you come over here, for example, you can see right through here as it was getting white. Right, lighter color, the market did bounce, and then it resumed the downtrend here. So just kind of giving us a heads up of a possible point of bounce. All right, so now I'm going to go down to a 729-minute chart. You can see this a little clearer. There's the hammer candle right there, and the market popped above that this morning. You can see the hook here, right there, and the market came right out of that area. So while I did pierce it, let's see, 7,300 looks like the bottom of the green zone to 7,226. So 74 points there, it broke through it and then has since reversed. So now these two zones that I have marked off here, the red and the green zone, the green being a support area, the red being a resistance. I also have trend lines marking off similar areas. The colored boxes or rectangles just tend to represent a bigger range. I could even stretch this back here. Look at this. I can come back here to this area if I wanted to, and do the same over here to encompass that. So it gives me a good idea, because I look for the markets to either, one, reverse in these zones, or two, have difficulty cutting through them. And then I plan trades accordingly. So I'm looking for support and resistance levels, chart patterns, read on momentum, and cycles in the market. Cycles by the bottom indicator there. All right, so let's go down here to the 243 chart, 243 minutes. On Nadex, you can pull up a 4-hour chart, very similar. So you can see the rapid decline here, and then now the reversal. So let's take a closer look at this. Let's pull out Fibonacci and measure from this high to this low. All right, so I like to just mark off the charts using the 618, the 382 levels as a possible area the market may look to reverse and head back down. So I do that and I get rid of the drawing. So you can see we're not that far from the 382 retracement, which is the bottom of that box. So the midpoint of the box is the 50% retracement, and the top edge is the 618 retracement level. All right, so let's go down here, keep working our way down here. So this is just known as top-down analysis. I just look at the market in these different time frames. So again, we're not that far with the market opening up here at the bottom of the hour for the day session. You can see on this 81-minute chart, on Nadex, you can load up an hour chart, 60-minute chart. Look how strong the momentum is here. And now we're at an area where we could cycle high. Doesn't mean it's going to turn on a dime here. We could push up into this area. So that's what I'm going to watch for here. You see that the Fibonacci box that I drew on there overlaps that red resistance zone. Keep working our way down here. So here on the 27-minute, which on Nadex, you can load up a 30-minute chart. You can see a little bit different here at resistance of the 89 period moving average. And then we have the 50 right down here in the blue, losing a bit of momentum on this move. So gradual incline, gradual decline here. Still bullish, but weakening on this time frame. So what I do is I work my way down. I'm just trying to get a feel for the market, you know, what it's doing in these lesser time frames relative to the higher time frames, and trying to see if I can distinguish any other support or resistance levels that I maybe couldn't see on the higher time frames. So there are a couple right there, more or less minor levels, but those are levels. You can see how the market has been held right at that area, 74.45-ish. Again, testing that resistance. Everybody got coffee this morning? Y'all awake? Pretty quiet this morning. All right, so here's the 9-minute. Here's the channel the market is in right here, right? Made a triple touch down here on the bottom side of the channel, double on the top, heading to the top again. Momentum is trying to shift up and out here on this 9-minute chart, trying to cycle up as well. All right, so I'm going to watch this going forward here today and see if the market will push up into that zone, that fib zone. And that's, for some reason, there we go. So there it is on the 3-minute chart. So what I like to see happen in these areas here, some sort of reversal pattern. It could be a double top, a head and shoulder top, something of that nature. And I'll take it into context. So I look at that content, and then I take it into context relative to these other time frames. Does it make sense to look for a shorting opportunity? Yesterday, for the most part, there were a couple of occasions though, but for the most part, you know, trying to buy the lows was not efficient. I did have a trade in one of my mornings group yesterday. We did trade Nadex, the US Tech 100, and we caught the bounce early in the morning, a short bounce, and rode that. But for the most part, unless you're real proficient at this, you don't want to fight those massive trends, because that's what gets you in trouble. Any questions on this market? So I'm going to look for it, see if it's going to push up into this area up in here later today. And if not, if it just kind of chops around, then we'll stand aside. Any questions on this market? All right, well. All right, we're gonna look at gold next. Start at the daily chart, just kind of work our way down here. So gold is pushed up to new recent high here. It did it on today's candle. So that high is actually, what is it, 1475. 1475 is backed off that a little bit. This is a minor support zone here. Momentum, we kind of have that move, and we've kind of had this. Now this is starting to pick up to the upside though. So we'll see if that's going to continue. So the content here is prices pushed up to new highs and now slowing down a bit. All right, so let's come down here. This is the 729 chart, just a little more clarity, but you can see the momentum is very strong here. We're at an area where we could see a cycle back down. You can see right here, this could come back down like so, which would mean price would drift down to perhaps to test the top of this support level before bouncing, and if it wants to continue back to the upside. So I have support right there, that yellow dashed line, and then we have the green zone. I'm going to jump down to the 81-minute chart. All right, so on this chart, here's what I see here. We had a shoulder ahead, and looks like it's actually working on a shoulder right now, right here. Shoulder to shoulder, so it's pretty symmetrical, and shoulder to possible shoulder there. So a loss of momentum on that second shoulder. So here's an example of what I was talking about with the Nasdaq, a topping pattern inside a resistance zone. Doesn't mean it's the end of the uptrend. It just means that, you know, markets, remember, markets cycle. Right, it's the rhythm of the markets. You can see it right here. And so with that rhythm is all I'm trying to trade is parts of that rhythm. Sometimes it's with the trend, sometimes it's against the trend. Okay, let's actually sync these levels. There we go. So let's come down to the 27-minute chart. You can see that spread out a little bit better. And right here, we have a high to a equal high, and here a high to lower high, but we still have pretty strong momentum here at the moment to the upside, as it's trying to pop up here. So not looking to take a short yet here in gold. All right, so down to the 9-minute chart, a little more clarity. You can see how the we have accumulation of higher highs here, right through here. Pull back a little bit, perfect rhythm in the markets, a little dip in momentum here, back to bullish momentum. So it appears at the moment the market may wish to push higher. So that trend line that I drew here, in fact, I am going to get rid of that. And I want to draw this, let's see, right here. So that is resistance level here at the moment. The next one is just above that, going on the other side of the head here, right there. Connects there and there and there. So I'm a big believer in support and resistance levels acting as magnets. Markets tend to move to and fro those levels. All right, so as we come down here to the 3-minute chart, there are those times where we can see a pattern develop right here as well. At the moment, it looks pretty choppy on this time frame, and you can see that, I think, a little clearer if you look at the momentum indicators. See how it's kind of just been moving sideways here. So even though we've seen a little higher highs here, not much momentum behind the move. Now we're just trying to cycle back up, as we talked about. So at the moment, nothing happening here for me. If we just back out here, take a quick look at momentum with gold. We still have, this is bullish but down on the 4-hour chart. Slightly bearish here. This is bullish on that was on the 81. This is on the 27. This is bullish here. So that's kind of where it's leaning at the moment in the face of that reversal pattern. So kind of some indecisiveness at the moment. All right, lastly, we're going to take a look here at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Been on fire here this morning. And you can see what's happening here, especially on these lower time frames. So this is the 4-hour chart. You can see the consolidation through here. We have multiple levels or touches into this red zone here. The resistance, see that? That is acting as resistance right here, right now. So we had momentum back off right here, but we're cycling back to the upside, and that's why we got this push. So momentum is, while it did go bearish, is trying to work its way back to the upside, but this resistance here has kept the market down. So with my methodology, I'm looking for reasons to stay out of the market. If I don't see any clarity, I don't need to be in a trade. Some weeks I trade a whole bunch, other weeks not so much. So here, if we jump down to the 81 minute, you can see all those levels, the touches through here, the attempts to crack through that and get rejected. We had this one move here, actually two moves here, but this one well up into the zone past the midpoint and then came right back down. Came back up, retested it, pulled back, retested it, sold off. So if we block it off, there's a trading range, right? A trading range that keeps topping out at these levels here. So see the sprint higher here this morning, very bullish. The market's trying to top out again at the resistance level. So again, I just want to see a pattern shape up here, or some sort of reversal pattern that coincides with that rejection off that resistance level. All right, so on the 3 minute, let's go down to that because the market's now moving a bit. So I like this one. I look for asymmetrical head and shoulders. You could call that a shoulder too if you wanted. And there's a reason I don't, but I don't have time to go into that here this morning. But you could definitely do it. So in essence, we would have a left shoulder and a left shoulder and a head of a head and shoulder top pattern, just looking for the market to bounce a little bit, form that right shoulder, and perhaps have an opportunity to short it against that resistance level. Right? There's that resistance level right there. The yellow line on here, if that's what you're asking about, Bertrand, is the 13-period exponential moving average. So at this point, I'd look for this to pull back some. Now, the other side of this coin is this market's made a good run. And let's do this real fast before we get out of here today. So it was in this channel, actually way back here, it was in this channel. Market broke out of the channel, pulled back. So there's the first retrace. Here's the second. No, that's not quite a second retrace. We're gonna have to call this one a retrace right here. So second retrace. This is actually a viable trend trading opportunity if it sets that up too. So see, you have two sides to every coin, right? Possible reversal, short-term reversal, possible trend continuation here. Let's look at the momentum. So this is trying to go bullish here. This is up. Cycle studies are up, bullish, up. I want to try to look for an entry for the, with bullish momentum off of a cycle low. So buy low, sell high is the idea. So this is actually setting up right there for that at the moment. So see how momentum is up. We can still see part of a reversal pattern setting up here, but we could see higher price. A bounce off of the support right through here. I think that the market may have to push a little bit lower here because you can see the cycle on the 9-minute chart is still has some room to go to the downside. And if we look at the next higher time frame above that, we're pretty locked in here. These don't stay up here forever. It does, much like this, it can be what I call embedded, because it is a capped indicator, meaning the ceiling's 100 and the floor is 0. Can't go beyond those levels. So one more thing on here. Let's do this. Let's come over to this 9-minute chart. Let's use the Fibonacci tool again. I'm going to use this low right here. So there's a fib zone for if it wants to push lower possible buy levels. But what happens at that point, you can see if you look left, so remember, always look left on your charts, it's really choppy in through here. The market really needs to get up and out of this zone of choppiness, or down and out of it, just depending on the direction it wishes to go. But right now, kind of leaning towards a possible long entry to the upside here and a retest of the bottom of this range. Now see how much room that gives us. The bottom of the range is roughly 132.38. We're at 132.27. Not a lot of room, about 10, 11 pips before it runs into that area. So it may not be worth it. But at this point, I anticipate a possible retest of that level. We will see, though, it may have to, as I mentioned, may have to cycle lower first before trying to do so right through here. Any questions before I wrap it up today? All right, so if you need some help, you want to learn more about binaries or the methodology, etc., this is how you can get a hold of us. We are real people. We have an office. We are located in Southern Oregon. We're about 45 minutes north of the Northern California border, right in the beautiful Rogue River Valley. That's our website, www.gbebinary.com. You can email us at support@gbemembers.com or call our office. Again, we're on the West Coast, so we're on West Coast time, but folks are in our office from 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, basically any day the markets are open. And one other thing, if you go to that website, you will see this. So here's the website here, GB Binaries. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Be careful of the volatility. It's great. It's a double-edged sword. Make sure you have high-quality trading opportunities. Don't let FOMO, fear of missing out, rule your trading, or greed for that matter. All right, everybody, have a great one. I'm Jim Prince. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Take care.